Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to One Whirl. This is our podcast, and I'm Christine McMahon Thompson, and I am joined by Alex Dixon, my dear friend and co-host on our podcast. So, Alex, what do we direct us? What are we going to be talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking about One Whirl magazine, and because Christine is in California, we'll be talking about how California is an integral part of the magazine and how the two things are going to be meshed together. So proceed, I suppose.
So I'm right now. I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm in San Jose, and I think I'd mentioned before I went to Santa Clara University for 2 years for undergrad, and I've always been really drawn to this part of the world, Alex. And fortunately for me, my son lives here, so that makes life much sweeter and simpler. But I got the first delivery of One World magazine here, and it's going to be distributed in Monterey County
Mhm.
and in Berkeley. And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about seeing what happens with it here and getting some feedback from people here, and and trying to get an understanding as to how it's going to resonate, or if it even resonates, and all of that. But it's exciting.
So, do you think that there's something cultural about California that makes it a good spot for the magazine? Is there something that you're connecting with the two of them?
Yes, I think that people in California have a heightened awareness of what health and wellness is.
Mhm.
I think that it's an integral part of the society here. And while there are people who are, native to this area, and who are already in this kind of a mindset, it does as a result of, the law of attraction and all of that, where and the like-minded seeking like-minded, where
Right.
where it does pull in people from other parts of the world who are doing that. And so you get a really great opportunity to see some new trends and new ideas
Mhm.
and different concepts. And that's what's fun for me. It feels like it's very much the people on the outer edges of trying to
Right.
figure out what the secret combination is.
Yeah. Um, so you mentioned Berkeley when you were talking about distribution. Uh, do you think that, like, because UC Berkeley is right there, do you think that's gonna affect the audience that we're getting?
Absolutely. The reason that Berkeley came up in our demographic studies was a surprise to us at first, until we looked into it, and with exactly the same mindset that you
Right.
are. And what we realized is that there are these different um, pockets of society, Berkeley being one of them, and the people around it who are interested in things like blue zone living. And, that's something that's very, very part of One World, where we're talking about what are the blue zones in the world. And those are, what are the places where there's a market longevity, and what are the people
Right.
doing that make them have healthier lives and longer lives. And so, and then there, the concepts with nutrition and all of these things really resonate with some of the people. Exactly, from it's UC Berkeley is a big draw.
Um, I had something written down and I totally forgot. Um,
Oops.
like you said something and I was like, yeah,
Hey,
great.
cool.
Um, so talking like about blue zones and like the what do you well just go into more detail about that. I think that's just something interesting that it's not like popular nomenclature. I think that would be something that people would get an informative experience out of hearing about. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things that's really interesting right now is the ability to have effective analytics and into research into your own demographic pool. And that's, I'm just really excited about that. But what happened, and this really is through a National Geographic study it was commissioned by National Geographic to show what they did initial research, demographic research, and found these particular areas. Loma Linda, California is one of the places, certain areas in Greece as another, certain areas of Japan as another, the Mediterranean diet. There are certain things that people do as part of their lifestyle that influence their longevity, and there are certain commonalities, but then the commonalities are all broken up too, because people are, it's based on where people live geographically. One of the main tenets being is that you eat the food that's right around you.
Right.
So if you're near a lot of fish, you eat a lot of fish.
Right. 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 Right.
But if you're not, you don't.
Yeah.
So you really kind of um, have that, and then it's a lot of like close family bonds. It's a lot of
Right.
mindfulness.
Yeah.
It's a lot of really being, in the present. Certain exercise, certain things to eat. Some people
Right.
eat a lot of nuts. Some cultures drink a lot of wine.
Hmm.
You know, others drink none.
Yeah.
So it's very different in those different ways. But what we can do, and something that is interesting for me, and I think it'll be interesting for the subscribers and readers and followers, is to understand why these different things are effective.
Right.
Why is it that eating seeds makes a difference for you? That
Yeah.
there are all these really amazing things that you can do holistically,
Yeah.
um, and you take them from these blue zones.
Yeah. See, I love just hearing about like the bits and pieces from other things, and I just like the idea of being able to take them and put it into one singular, like, oh, we know that if you eat this certain fish in this area, it had a really great effect. So if you eat those fish with this sauce from like two totally different places, it's like perfect for you. I love the idea of just sort of a world diet, so to speak. Like taking everything from across the globe and putting it together and making one like meal plan out of it, I guess, because it kind of feels like everyone in the world did their research separately, and now the research project is done and we're just going to pool it all and make something up as we go along. But I love the idea of that.
I love that too. I love that too. It feels very one.
Yes.
But
um
that is something that's very cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So blue zones is something we'll be looking into.
Yeah. So thinking about like, because this is very much like you have the connections to Pittsburgh and to California. I just want to know like what are like the cultural similarities that you're seeing there, but also what are like the major differences? What's like unique about them?
Well, I see a lot of, very strong family ties here.
Hmm.
I'm exposed to people who have very strong families,
Hmm.
and I see that. And that's a similarity, I believe. And I think that's an important thing,
Yeah.
with healthy lifestyle, is maintaining some kind of bonds with people, important people, especially around the holidays.
Hmm.
Uh, I see culturally, right now, I'm seeing a general malaise. I
Hmm.
think that people are getting weary of the COVID restrictions and the lockdowns and the uncertainty, and they're starting to look for ways to get excited about 2021, which I
Right.
think is why this issue is going to do so great,
Hmm.
and the things that we're talking about are going to resonate, because that's something I think that people want their voices to be heard. So I really
Right.
want to make sure that we have interactivity, moving
Yeah.
forward, because I feel like that's a commonality. I think people are feeling a need to be able to express themselves, and
Right.
it's tough to do when you're in lockdown.
Yeah. That was the first thing that came to mind, thinking like, well, what's similar about California and Pittsburgh? And obviously, like the film industry, but just in general, like the art culture. Like when you think
Yeah,
about a culture of artists, you don't really think about Pittsburgh, but it really is. Pittsburgh has a really in-depth art
exactly.
culture. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's one of my favorite things about the city is that everywhere you go, like you're going to see a poster for some random play that's just like a black box show that's happening in the middle of downtown. And it's like, oh, cool. There's one of those going on every single day. I just love that about Pittsburgh. It's very indie in that same way that Pittsburgh, I don't think of it as like the smallest big city. I think of it as like a huge collection of small towns all put together. That's kind of what the art industry feels like in Pittsburgh, where it's like, oh, it's not the biggest by any means, but it's a bunch of indie artists that came together and made it big enough that it's like a really small industry in its own. I just think that's really like it's a commonality in the way that Pittsburgh works in most of the things it does.
I agree. I think that's a great way to describe it too. So,
So
well, I mean, I think I think that's really what people are going to be able to look forward to in the upcoming issues is that
yeah,
there will be things that are happening out here that are really interesting and to give people different things to think about and different ways of looking at the world, some different perspectives, you know, on things like health and wellness
right,
and then I think for people in California, the nice thing is that they're going to really get an understanding of what's going on the East Coast,
right,
and you know, and what are the things that are being intellectualized and studied, and the advantage that we have in
right,
Pittsburgh. The other thing that did come up in our research was that the advantage we have in Pittsburgh is CMU, and that's another reason why
yeah,
Berkeley really popped up on our radar, which again, it's like when it first popped up, like, you know, with
yeah,
everybody, I was like, what, you know, that's really odd, you know,
yeah,
and Monterey, I understood because, you know, of
right,
all, you know, the different events and the tourism and all
yeah,
of
yeah,
that. But Berkeley surprised me until then. We really started to dig into it and found that, yeah, in fact, CMU is a very big player in the concept of health and wellness
right,
and a lot of the technology. So that's something we're going to be looking into too.
yeah,
Once we can get our branch more into technology, which I'm
yeah,
hoping will be by not this issue, but by the third issue, is I'd
right,
really like to introduce a major tech division.
yeah. Um, yeah,
Not to be
that's
planned
a big thing with like being connected to Pittsburgh and being connected to health and wellness. I mean, we have one of the best health industries in the country. Like
here.
EPMC is like a national thing because, and Pittsburgh is. I remember I was taking my world politics class freshman year of college, and my professor said it's weird coming to Pittsburgh because he was from California. He said I always thought that it was like steel and like lumberjacks or something. Like he just thought we were all insane rednecks or something, which like I mean we are, but that's
We are.
unrelated. Uh, but he said, but it was crazy coming here and seeing that everyone is either like a technological, like they work in technology or they work in medicine, and that's just like yeah, it feels like we've evolved into the epitome of those two things. Like health and wellness is kind of like the weirdly the thing that Pittsburgh is best known for now, which is just strange because it used to be the opposite when the entire city was full of smog. So it's like we flipped everything on its head, hopefully for the better, you would assume.
Yes, I was just going to say, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's something that's in common, and um, you know, I'm really looking forward to showing people the different aspects of what wellness looks like in different
Right.
places. You know, here there's a lot of hiking and biking year round,
Yeah.
and so that's, you know, there's a huge advantage to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, I think there are a lot of commonalities with that as well,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of other kind of you know, health and wellness modalities
Right.
that I think will have a lot of crossover and synergies. pretty quickly so that a network can be built
Yeah.
pretty quickly, you know.
Right.
So hopefully I'll entice people from both places to go visit.
Yeah. That's the dream.
All over.
Um,
So,
so I have a question written down here just as like a fun
okay.
conversation piece. Which one's harder to deal with? The winters in Pennsylvania or the summers in California?
Oh, the winters in Pennsylvania are just brutal. They're brutal.
Really?
Yeah, they're brutal. And heat doesn't really bother me too much.
See,
I love it.
I'm the exact opposite. I went out and shoveled snow in my flip-flops earlier. So like I
You're
can
in
take
heaven. You're like, yes.
oh yeah, I would much rather be cold any day of the week. When I was doing landscaping half the time, like there was one time we cut grass in the snow and everyone else has like a bunch of hoodies and stuff. And I'm like, as soon as I start moving, I start sweating. So I'm like out there in a t-shirt and shorts and everyone else is in jeans and hoodies. And they're like, man, you think you're so tough. I'm like, no, I'm a massive wuss. That's why I'm doing it. Like I'm a huge baby when it comes to being hot. So it's just,
I get it. I was a lifeguard, so I think that's it for me. And I was raised my from when I was born till I was 3 in Florida.
yeah.
My dad was in the Navy, and so
Mhm.
I just think I think I have a comfort zone in you know, being
Right.
hot.
See, I spent my whole life out in the woods. So like whenever it got cold, I just had to get used to it. So but it's also like it's a lot shadier there in the summers and everything. So it's generally kind of cool being by the river. So when I'm somewhere where it's just heat, it's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna cash it in.
So,
I think
well,
that's everything that I had written down. So
yeah, me too. Well, this was great,
yeah,
and next week we will have a guest. And in
yes.
the meantime, we'll just tell people to subscribe at www.onewhirl.com
Mhm.
and look for really cool things coming up with our subscribers. We're working on some really cool business plans
Right.
there and exciting cutting edge stuff.
Yep.
Uh,
And remember that if you're watching this on YouTube, we also are on all the audio platforms, Spotify and whatnot. And if you're listening to this on Spotify and whatnot, we're on YouTube. So you can either look at us or not, depending on your personal preferences, I suppose. Either way, subscribe, please.
please do. All right. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.